Welcome back to episode 6 of the World Conquest Speedrun, where we're gonna conquer all of Calradia as Frederick the Great. In the previous episode, we successfully defended our gains, enacted the last of the 10 key policies, and stabilized both of our fiefs. We struggled to take another fief due to our low army size and being swarmed by defenders, but start off this episode with a completed siege camp on Amitatis and more troops than the defenders. Let's jump right in. There are a considerable amount of troops surrounding us, and my biggest concern here is sieging a town without having a breach. Amitatis is formidable to assault, and since siege towers and ladders are mostly broken right now, we need to wait for a breach to assault. We quickly get swarmed and are outnumbered by the defenders. The balance of power is slightly in their favor, so I like our odds with our better quality of troops. Once again, we get a chance to hold the bridge crossing, which would be a huge force multiplier in our favor. We move our cavalry and cav archers up to the bridge as a delaying action against the enemy crossing. The enemy shield wall is up, slowing them down greatly. We have more than enough time to get our shield wall in place with archers behind, loosing devastating volleys into their tightly packed bridge. As the enemy reaches our line, we give our infantry the charge order and dismount to help. Enemy archers are on our right flank at very close range, so it's in our best interest to move towards the middle and avoid being shot at further. The first enemy infantry push has been dealt with successfully, so we reform our lines and hold ground for now. Their reinforcements continue to flow across the bridge, but they are easy targets for our ranged troops. We get separated from our lines and taken down by the enemy, but at this point we are so far ahead that it doesn't matter. We lose over 150 troops, which is a painful victory for sure, but we are still in a good position to take the town. After releasing several nobles post-battle, we inch our way towards Charm 200. After the battle, we are in a terrible situation. The defenders outnumber us 2-1, and our main character is out for at least another day or so. If they sally out, we will be toast. Our wounded will heal quickly though, and the balance of power will even broken out. We also need to work on knocking the enemy walls down, so we start construction on some siege engines. The enemy begins to gather strength across the river, and we aren't in a great position to take another 600 troop army on. 3 more enemy parties show up, which means the end is near. If we want to have a chance at taking the town, we must remove those ballistas, as they will tear our troops to pieces. Amatatis is putting up a valiant effort in their defense, and we're struggling to achieve siege engine dominance. They're able to replenish their ballistas faster than we can keep up with building onagers. In hindsight, a trebuchet would have been a better choice. Another enemy party shows up, and we are outnumbered 3 to 2, but we will make the best of it. Since we're outnumbered here, we have the luxury of staying in place to defend.
Cavalry! Move!
They place their archers forward, so we are sure to keep our shield wall up in front and soaking the incoming arrows, blocking for our own archers. As soon as their line reaches ours, we flank with our cavalry. Within a matter of seconds, their troops fall, and we need to pull our troops back to avoid being overextended.
Infantry! Forward!
I really like square formation, but shield wall will be just as fine here. Square tends to be better against cavalry in general, and better against infantry when we are heavily outnumbered. They can't flank if we have all sides covered. They have only a few troops left, so we push forward and end the battle. We only lose 41 troops, taking out nearly 10 times that amount. For the 175 two-handed perk, we are mostly deciding between increased party size and increased prisoner size. The morale bonuses are nice, but I think party size trumps everything, so we opt for hope. We also have a spare focus point to place. We have allocated all the points we set out for in the hero builder, so now we can figure out where to put the rest. I'm very biased towards maxing out all endurance skills, since they are incredibly important. We will pick up the final endurance point from the athletics perk, so let's max athletics out first. We continue the siege and slowly recover some of the 102 wounded troops we have. We still are favored against the defenders, but without properly working siege towers or ladders, we will need to burst the walls down. I'm not really sure what happened here exactly, but the enemy sallied out and picked up another 300 troops with them. We could potentially take this fight, but being outnumbered more than 2 to 1 seems like a huge risk to take, so we decide to sacrifice troops to escape. We will live to fight another day and return to take what is rightfully ours. We lose only 20 troops in total and escape the fight. Seleucus apparently thinks we are cowards, sacrificing troops to escape a glorious battle. There's a reason you're not the army leader here, Seleucus. We would all be dead now if you were. We quietly slip past Amatatis and head back to Thorios and lick our wounds. The gardens will be completed in 1 day's time, which will help improve the prosperity of the castle significantly. When we overproduce food, the excess goes straight to the prosperity increase. We spend the next 4 days collecting new recruits from surrounding areas and decide it's time to try again. Since their attention is focused in the north, let's head to the south and see if we can snag an easy conquest. Onica Castle will make a fine addition to the Prussian Empire. For a castle, they sure have a lot of troops at nearly 400. This will not be an easy battle. Don't let the balance of power fool you. They start by building onager, so we start by building trebuchet. I'm not sure why the recording cut out here, but I remember it well. A huge army of well over 1,000 troops came waltzing through to break our siege, and we had not even finished our first trebuchet, so we retreated. After another week or so of recruiting and probing for a weakness, we get notice that Thorios is under siege once again. The attackers outnumber us by about 100 troops, but we probably have the better quality advantage. We have plenty of defenders in the castle, so it's not urgent to break the siege right away. They begin their assault, so we check our perks one last time before jumping in. Finally, Leadership 125. This is a really tough pick here. Leader of the Masses will give us +5 party size for each town we control. We expect to have between 3 and 5 towns soon, which would represent a 15 to 25 increase in party size. Presence will give a +5 security bonus per day to settlements while we wait inside. This perk is extremely good at stabilizing recent conquests quickly, because if we can get security up, then loyalty will follow soon after. At some point, we will have a large enough kingdom that the extra party size will be negligible, but with the main goal of taking over the world, we will always need to stabilize newly conquered fiefs, so presence it is. The secondary perk removes morale penalty for recruiting prisoners of the same faction as us, which will help a lot since we're recruiting a ton of high-tier Empire troops. The plan here is to let our garrison reduce the troop count for us, saving us the casualties. Once they reach 300 or so, we can easily take them out. They decide the juice is not worth the squeeze and cancel their attack. This is the perfect opportunity to attack Amitates again since their army just ran off. And with the stroke of luck, the defenders only have around 200 troops defending. All we need is the ram to finish and we can start the siege. Amitates is an incredibly difficult town to siege with tons of angles to shoot at us from. Our main focus will be to keep defenders off of the ballista since the majority of the casualties will come from those. We are fortunate enough to have late game armor as the enemy's arrows are accurate but just very weak. Our ram gets blasted and our troops aren't going up the ladders, so we have no choice but to back out of the siege. Our trebuchet and onager are ready, but the enemy is replacing ballistas too fast for us to keep up. We need to reserve 3 or 4 trebuchet to achieve siege dominance. With only 2 trebuchet ready, we are attacked by several small parties, but the numbers are fairly even this time. We take up position in the back of the map and quickly deal with their skirmishing cavalry.
Square formation! Attack! Move! Move! Cavalry! 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 Forward! Forward! Move! Forward! Or give him hell! Mounted archer!
The AI is very clever this time and decide to assault from the front with their shield wall. This time, we try the square formation and give our archers more opportunity to shoot at the enemy infantry. It's also a great chance for us to destroy some melee troops without taking shots from the enemy archers. For some reason, I'm having issues landing my hits and taking a ton of damage, but fortunately the enemy has retreated to regroup.
Move! Move! Forward! Archers! Infantry! Move! Forward! Forward! Infantry! Line formation! Advance! Make a square!
Here come the cavalry again, and right into our square formation. This is a great opportunity to pick off cavalry with minimal losses. They tend to get stuck in the middle of our square and pulled off of their mounts. The enemy infantry once again reaches our square, but we hold firm. In situations like this with low health, I find it's best to hang back and use bow to stay relevant, but also stay out of danger. Their second wave fails, and we chase them off the map for a clean victory. We lose only 60 troops and take out 450 enemies in the process. This was the ideal field battle. For the level 75 tactics perk, there is only one good pick here, and it's Horde Leader. Plus 10 party size is great, and we lose army cohesion slower, which will help later. The level 200 charm perks are both for a governor, so the pick here is wasted for us. As soon as we finish the battle, we are greeted by another army of 482. We still need another 10% to participate in battles, so we have two options. We can siege the castle or run once again. Don't let the balance of power fool you. We do not have the advantage here. The choice is to run and regroup, as this auto-resolve would fail 100% of the time. They siege Thorios once more, and like before, they give up the siege after losing only 100 troops. If there is one thing in Bannerlord that pisses me off more than anything else, even more than bugs and crashes, it's getting raided. They start a raid on Sagara, so we race south to try and stop them before the damage is done. We catch them before they can escape, and quickly mop them up and move on. There isn't much to see here. They rush into our archer line, but break before reaching us, and we only lost 2 troops in the battle. At long last, scouting level 75. We consider taking Forestkin because it's an amazing bonus in forest, but the problem is we will most likely never use it because of our army composition. Cavalry will make up more than 25% of our forces, so we go with Desert Born instead. Checking in on Lycaron, we see that things are shaping up nicely. Our prosperity is growing by 2.3 per day, with 0.6 coming from surplus food, 0.5 from loyalty, being at 100, and Imperial Towns giving +1. Since money ain't a thing, we make it rain on Moisteros the Governor, giving him 20,000 more in reserve to finish the town projects quicker. Looking at construction, we can see several bonuses: 21 from Prosperity, 50 from Reserves, 15 from the Governor, and 17 from High Loyalty. Each bonus by itself isn't all that much, but combined, it makes a huge difference. We have nearly 900 influence burning a hole in our pocket, so we pick up a few stragglers. Not great policies, but it's better than nothing. Lost Speakers gives plus 0.5 influence per day if we have charm level 101 or higher, and negative 0.5 if 100 or lower. This might come in handy later if nobles we recruit have a low charm skill. Royal Privilege makes it 20% cheaper to oppose the popular decision. Again, not useful right now, but as we recruit nobles, this will save us tons of influence. Castle Charters makes all buildings at the castle 20% cheaper to upgrade. We plan on mostly holding towns, so they don't really help us, but it could help our fellow clan members who own castles when we get there. Royal Commission makes it cheaper for us to bring other nobles into our army and lose cohesion slower. More importantly, it makes other nobles use more influence to call armies together. And finally, noble retinues. This will give us an additional 40 troops for for our main party when we reach clan tier 5. So if you've been paying close attention, you'll notice a theme here. They love to siege down Thoriel's castle. It's like moths to a flame. They have over 700 troops this time, so we have to be somewhat cautious. They begin the siege and we play the waiting game once more. I like to let the castle defenders lower their numbers because it's mostly militia which replenish for free. Plus we get a huge defensive bonus on castle sieges, so better to let their numbers decrease without us risking our main army. They lose nearly 200 troops and break off the siege. This time, however, we will not allow them to escape unpunished. The balance of power is heavily in our favor here, so we have to push the action. As always, harass the cavalry and get easy picks.
Bannerlord! Mount up! Move! Cavalry, charge!
We unload 30 arrows into their shield circle, but they don't budge. We make a comment about the commander's mother smelling of elderberries, and they finally leave their lines, enraged at the insult, and charge headlong into our lines. The best part about Shield Square are the free hits we get on enemies trying to break the shield wall. This would be a great tactic for a two-handed axe. We take a lucky shot to the face from the cavalry who pushed his way in, but the battle is mostly over at this point. We lose 76 troops, but defeat an army that was just over 700 only a day earlier. Now we move on to Amitatis once more. So I was planning on starting the recording once I got all the trebuchets set up, but when I saw they only had 100 troops garrisoned there, I was overly excited and smashed the like button. I smashed the auto-resolve button, and we finally, after many attempts, became the owner of our second town, Amitatis. We show mercy to the residents and begin to put a plan in place for moving forward. With only 350 troops in our army, it would be wise for us to sue for peace, stabilize our new town, and recruit back up to the max party size. At only 370 dinars per day, we happily accept the peace deal with the Western Empire. We had recently lost most of our workshops because they were in enemy towns, so we quickly snatch up all three here so we can get our renown per day gain once again. Looking at the infrastructure of Amitatis, we see quite a lot of tier 3 buildings. As always, we need to increase our food production, so we start with an orchard and 30,000 into the reserve fund. Now that we have level 125 leadership presence, it makes sense to stay in town for a few days to boost up security. Once we raise security, loyalty will follow shortly after, and then everything else with it. While we're waiting, we allow our clan parties to roam free, filling up on troops. Sora reaches level 20, which is a big one. We get to put another attribute point into intelligence and the final focus point into smithing. Another consequence of waiting around is recruiting higher tier prisoners. We will very quickly reach our party limit and be ready for action once more. Our tannery and wool weavery are still making 0 per day, day, so we switch one to a brewery and the other to a wine press. Nothing makes soldiers happier than a lot of booze. After a week of waiting patiently, our town has reached maximum stability. In order to min-max a little, we decided to cancel work on the orchard and actually get our loyalty up to 100 with the help of the daily default, festival, and games. This is giving us an extra 2.9 loyalty per day. By doing this, we get loyalty to 100 first, then switch to an orchard with the maximum construction bonus from loyalty. We will remain at 100 loyalty because festival and games only gives 2.9 per day, but we're gaining 4 right now. So once we switch it off, that will drop down to 1.1 per day and we will stay at 100. Once again, we switch to building the orchard, which will help us increase our prosperity even faster. We head back to Lycaron to update the building queue with the priority being militia grounds and orchards first. The town is doing really well and doesn't have much need for the governor anymore, so we take Mosteros back into our party. We could have used a good engineer when taking Amitatis. Not to worry though, we will start our snowball on Conquest very soon. In order to assert our Chad dominance, we achieve tournament champion by winning our 40th tournament. We will gain +1 renown per day from now on, which won't help a ton at this point, but the message has to be sent to the other nobles of the realm. Be aware, we are coming for you. We take out a few looters with our crossbow to hit level 50 perk, which should increase reload speed for both crossbow and bow. We finally reach clan tier 5, which is a huge pickup for us. We get a +25 party size from the clan tier increase, as well as +40 from the policy we passed earlier. We spent a couple days recruiting up to our party limit in preparation for the next war. Now we must decide who is the next target. It will have to be one of the Empire Kingdoms, so let's see which one makes the most sense. We're paying 320 per day to the north for peace, and they're at war with Sturgia, so not a bad option. We recently signed a peace deal with Western Empire for 370 per day, and Southern Empire we pay 1620 per day to. Not only is this an incredibly expensive peace deal, but their towns are very close to ours, and would make a nice defensive ring, making fief defense much easier. It's much easier to defend a closely packed circle of fiefs than a stretched out line. As soon as war is declared, the 1620 dinar payment will cease as well, saving us a ton of money. We spend 10,000 dinars to buy out all of the food supplies, and then